trophy obtained. Time to get to work. Thanks, SPR. I'm working on a cover for Witchblade Vampirella crossover. Hey, Dante. Mm. Have a good one, Tooth. Uh, this is not a Kickstarter thing. I think it's a book, standard one, to my knowledge. I don't know. Oh, yeah, no, sorry. This is a cover for a crossover of Witchblade Vampirella. So this is not Letters to the Vampire Queen. I just now put two and two together. It's early morning. My brain is slow to math. Uh, yeah, it's they've already announced it, and I still have to finish my cover. Hoping to have actually this done today. And tomorrow I gotta do a cover for I forgot the name of the book, an indie book. Then I have 3 DC covers, and then I think I'm done with the covers for the month. Then just a bunch of comics, the good stuff. Like covers are cool as a sort of a palette cleanser, but that's not where my heart is. No, I haven't been asked for any Absolute Wonder Woman so far. I do have a surprising cover next month that I kind of never expected to be making, but very awesome. Uh, this month I actually drew a cover featuring a character that people have always asked me if she was an inspiration for Ali. She wasn't, because in Croatia that cartoon series was never big when I was a kid. But yeah, I don't think it's a much of a spoiler. I did a cover for a G.I. Joe crossover, and the cover does indeed feature the Baroness. A character dressed in head to toe in black latex with a red accents and glasses. I mean, listen, she really was tailor-made for me to draw. Then again, when that's the criteria, so was Batwoman. So yeah, it's like, don't you just hate being typecast? Real quick. I'm multitasking. I'm drawing it at the same time, farming some resources in Destiny Rising. So literally, I have the game on the other screen, just kind of waiting for the resource to respawn, and then I just go and pick it up. People be like, "How can you play all these long-term investment games with all the stuff that you still that you have to make on any given day?" I'm like, I adapt, I overcome. Absolutely. It's gonna be a very fun cover. It's one of those, I'm going to drink your blood, except the neck is covered in spikes. I love any opportunity for me to make something silly. World could use with a bit more of silly. Yeah, this is a Final Fantasy XIV team, but all I'm thinking is like this so screams Xenogears to me. It's not even funny. I'm doing fine. I'm actually kind of just vibing, enjoying myself, working on these covers. Beginning of the month, I try to kind of knock the covers out so that I can focus on my own comics after that. They are just like the perfect palette cleanser, because like if you're only working on your own stuff all the time, like you don't get burned out necessarily, but you do get a little bit tired. You need something different. It's kind of like eating your favorite meal every day. Sooner or later, I've never, I don't use Substance Painter. For my texture, I just kind of generally poly paint in ZBrush because I don't really export my stuff. So it's like if I need to render something, I render it in ZBrush. It's got a what's it called, Redshift version for ZBrush, which it's nothing to write home about, but it gets the job done for what I need from it. Uh, I've could like it's one of those things where Substance Painter would be great, but then I'd have to unwrap, and like again, I don't animate. I don't like all my stuff is basically sculpting for this purpose of 3D printing. So I've never really had the use for Substance Painter. Wait, does this thing fold on her neck, or is it like a straight up collar? Shit, I keep forgetting. Let me Google Vampirella. Vampirella images. Oh, so it doesn't fold. What am I doing? It's not out. Good thing I checked. Yeah, no. This is a variant cover for a comic crossover of Vampirella and Witchblade. Somehow this month I got just roped in doing just the multiple comic crossover covers. Well, one of them is not a comic crossover, but the cover itself is a crossover because they're like doing it that month. So I did Death Vigil Witchblade crossover cover. It's not the comic itself won't feature Witchblade, but it's kind of one of those things that Image has been doing recently, where they do sort of a month of a certain character and then they have them visit other covers. It's a fun little concept. Okay. Boom, boom. Where do I find the inspiration reference for this type of covers? Uh, a lot of it is just kind of making shit up as I go. With references, when I actually use references, I tend to use about 20 or 30 different ones to just kind of get like some, angles and stuff and just basically anchor my work. But yeah, beyond that, it really does come down to the hardest part being the idea. I'm not good with ideas, I'm gonna be real. Uh, I get good ideas every now and then, but like I'm more naturally a comic make story fucking comic page artist, right? So I think better in just sequential art. I don't do well with pinups. I can pull them off, but like it's very it takes way more effort for me to actually think up of a good idea for a cover than it does for just a whole ass comic. Like I will write and draw you a whole ass comic, no problem. A good cover is sheesh, yeah. That's why I often say I'm not a really good cover artist, even though people always go like, oh, what are you talking about? Well, there's a difference between good at drawing and rendering and being a good cover artist. Like I can draw you a nice picture, I can render it really well, but a cover is a sort of a statement on the story in the comic. It's a sort of a statement on the comic, and more often than not, I don't know what fucking statement I'm trying to make. So generally, most of them are kinda well rendered, painfully mid. Sometimes I get some brilliance cooking and make something very nice. This one's gonna be nice. This one is gonna be nice. Ever since I sketched it, I was looking forward to just sitting down and actually finishing this one, just because like the idea is my kind of fun, where it's like, hey, here's Vampirella hanging upside down with vampire bat wings, like she's going to bite the Sarah Pezzini, the Witchblade, except she's got spikes on her neck. Beautiful. Like that's fun. Yeah, like I said, I'm good at paneling. I'm good at telling a story. I'm good. I can make a comic every day, each day, and I have been for last 25 years or so. But covers to this day are a very hit and miss thing with me. That's why, unfortunately, I'm very often being just hard carried by my artistic skill at this point. It's just like, yeah, it's like even if it's a boring ass cover, it's gonna be a pretty boring ass cover. Well, I mean, you can't now, but if you keep trying and you keep going at it, you will. I couldn't. I wasn't born this way. This wasn't something where I was like a magical child with all the abilities. Like, no, fuck no. I was just a dweeb kid with, I had no predispositions for it. But here's the real fucking kicker. Toys were expensive and pencil was cheap, so my mom was like, "Hey, let me show you how to draw a tank." And it was like this very simple thing that, you know, I started repeating, and then, grown-ups were like, "Oh my God, this is so good. You're so talented." And I'm like, "Oh, yo, maybe." And, on and off, I kind of liked drawing because, it became a sort of a pastime. And then at some point, it was in high school where I started to, take it a bit more seriously. Through elementary school, I still had my moments where I was like, actually trying because I was like, you know, I was easily entertained by the concept of making something by that point. So that was a bit of a hobby. When you're bored, when your family never had money to begin with, you're kind of just you know you're you're left to your own devices to how to make your own fun. So I made you know I'd find broken things and make toys, Not that I didn't have any toys, but it was like, we were Balkans in like late 80s and through the 80s and 90s, and it's like, yeah, you make do. But then I started taking it seriously. Got to high school, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna kick some ass. In comes a guy who was like 70 fucking generations ahead of me with skill. He became my best friend in high school, and I saw his skill, and I'm like, wow, I fucking suck. So I started practicing harder and harder, and then my teacher said, "Oh my God, look at you! You're improving so much. You're never gonna be as good as your best friend, though." So I took that personally, and you know, no, no. Here's the thing. Again, my covers will look good. Like, here's the character standing there, looking good. Yeah, okay, cool. That doesn't make it necessarily a good cover, just makes it a pretty one, It's one of those things like it would be a nice poster, but a cover has to have a brain cell behind it, and unfortunately those were busy or absent or never there to begin with. However, like I said, every now and then the planets align and I produce something that's actual fire, and then later on I'm like, wow, I suck, but then I look at that one cover, I'm like, except here, I fucking cooked here. Yeah, but here's the thing, you're supposed to suck. That's the process. You you go you go on sucking until one day you suck a little less, and then you suck a little less, and then you suck a little less, and at some point you're kind of all right. The trick to getting to the all right part is you always prioritize drawing exactly whatever the fuck you want. Cause behind all of other bullshit in learning how to draw, the most important thing is you gotta keep yourself motivated, man. Like it's that's the big one. And in order to keep yourself motivated, focus on drawing what you like. Drawing what you like will force you to learn other things because you're gonna want other things in the scene with the thing that you like. It's like, oh my god, I drew my character sitting looking awesome. The chair looks like ass though, cause I fucked this shit up. I didn't practice at all. Time to fucking improve on the chair, you know? And then you're like, oh, I put some flowers in a vase on the table next to my character so that it can look all like decorated and shit. Except the flowers look like shit. Now I have to practice flowers. But you have a reason to practice flowers now. Good. Draw your OC. That's what you want to draw. Fucking improve by doing that. That's how I got better. Literally, I was stagnating for a decade, and then I started drawing a couple of OCs, and Sunstone was made, and here we are. That's the thing. That's the big ticket. Behind all of the other bullshit, behind all of the other grind work, the most important, crucial foundation is you gotta fucking want it. That's the difference between a person who can draw and can't draw. The person who can draw wanted it. Because this is base level skill set. It is, hey, I want to know how to do it. You fucking do it. It's like me fucking looking at the Final Fantasy XIV going like, oh man, I wish I could do an ultimate raid, but I'm just not good enough. Except I know very well that if I fucking actually committed and started practicing my rotations, practice this, and got better at it, and found a team and persisted, I would do it. It's that's the thing with anything in life, really. That wherever you have a modicum of control over the situation, and where the crucial factor is you, that's where you end up realizing that that's the only way. It's like if you have any control of the situation, and if you can affect it, then it is up to you. And that's what drawing is. Drawing is that conscious decision where at some point you were like, the desire to create is too strong. I'm gonna make a thing. Hey, it sucks. I'm gonna make it again. 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 It sucks, except this time the eyes look good, you know? Oh no, my friend unfortunately stagnated himself into nothing. Uh, I guess it's one of those things with early blooming, you know? You you you, you get so much praise that, at some point I guess you just kind of stop. I don't know. So I don't know, maybe he lost interest over time because like he was generally excellent at, drawing and sculpting, but like he didn't really have a purpose. He never made his own OCs. He was like he was excellent at taking a photo and copying it like a human photocopy machine. Like he was great at that. But then, when it came to the purpose of that, he kind of had none, And me, I've in high school decided I want to make comics. And so I focused on that, and it gave me a purpose. It gave me something to actually chase continuously. And that's also one of those things that, again, going back to the topic of drawing and making exactly what you want, exactly the thing that you want the most. Don't compromise on your own wants and needs when it comes to art. Because there's an audience for anything out there who will share those interests. But first and foremost, you have to serve yourself in this, as in you have to draw whatever you want to draw. That's gonna keep you going. Hey, that was great. Yeah, I mean, like it's one of those things. Like that teacher had his own methods, I guess, but it's kind of weird. Like what doesn't work for one person will be just the kind of just that factor that will get another person going. And at that point, I can't even say, "Hey, you're doing it wrong," because it fucking works on me. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that kind of method. I'll be real, because not everybody reacts well to that, and I'm willing to think that you know we've lost some potentially really good artists that way with those kinds of methods, and not just him. Like there's a whole school of teachers that will always go by that method where they're like gonna be like what are you gonna do about it? Prove me wrong. And with somebody who already possesses an intense drive, yeah, that's gonna work. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, well I will prove you wrong. Just you wait, just you watch. And doesn't always work with everybody. But like I said, worked on me. I have no interest in commenting on your OC until you make something with it. It's one of those things where it's like an OC is creativity's one night stand, okay? Like it's one of those things where you kind of are non-committally drawing a thing. Make something. An OC is what you make of it, you know? Like I can't tell you based on a few drawings if your OC is good or shit. You know, an OC has to have a personality. An OC, you know, OC is a character starter kit, you know, and characters usually have a point, and that point is the story told about them. So I can't say whether or not it has a future. That's up to you to decide. Best thing to do with an OC is let it talk, you know. One drawing at a time, you know, develop a personality, see if it speaks to you, see if it's worth investing time on. That's how all of my comics were made. I would make some doodles of some characters, and if they looked interesting, I'd let them kind of start talking, you know, start figuring out the world, I'd start figuring out who they are, why they are, you know, and then the storytelling starts. Yeah, the designs really mean nothing, you know. Some of the world's most boring designs ended up being some of the world's most compelling and most beloved characters. Design won't get you anywhere. I mean, look at Luffy from One Piece. Jesus Christ, like it's a good dude in a red shirt and a straw hat. Wow, riveting stuff. I'm sure that's gonna go far, you know. Well, what makes OC into a character is a sense of purpose and the willingness of the creator to fulfill it. And trust me, I get it. That's not an easy thing to just jump into, but jump into it by testing the water bit by bit, you know? Get used to it, get comfortable with it, and at some point the character is going to become too loud and too annoying for you to ignore it, and you're going to have to start committing. I know, because I have a lot of very loud, very annoying voices in my head. Which is why these days I can't fall asleep normally and have to have a radio turned on. Exactly, he's got them jorts also. He's a chort with a jort. Oh yeah, let me. How do I do it? How do I make my OC talk? By just making them talk. I will start doing, instead of just a drawing of the OC, I will draw single panels. Here's a perfect example, right? I will now lead you on a little journey of my OC. All right, let me just scroll down to find the actual files. Where are you? Okay. So, I started this when I was like, you know what? This left one, I was like, I want to make a sort of an OC. I never make just an OC that doesn't really go anywhere, but it's an OC. So I'm just gonna make an OC. It's gonna be an orc chick. It's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna make an orc chick. Yeah, yeah. So I start drawing her, right? Then I'm like, okay. So I was like, okay. So she's got a druid friend as well. He probably heals her shit, whatever. And then I'm like, she also probably goes on adventures, you know. And she goes on adventures with like this lizard dude also who's basically he's a lizard wizard, okay? He's a wizard who's a lizard. See that it's funny. Yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, that's funny. I'm gonna make it even funnier. So I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do some work on the lizard wizard. And so I make the meme of that stupid cat that doesn't blink. And somebody yelling off screen, blink, motherfucker. And considering he's a wizard, he blinks by licking his eyes. But then I'm like, okay, so So she's traveling with a lizard wizard. Who would be her other companions? Well, she travels with a null necromancer who ends up eating the bones. So she's always missing materials to actually summon stuff because keeps eating the bones. And so the null necromancer always relies on the orc to actually do the killing, and then the necromancer starts rising the dead. Then I'm like, okay, but who is the enemy? Okay, the enemy is this this elvish queen who succumbed to dark magics. So it's a really big piece, huh? Who, she used to be this gorgeous thing, but then she turned into this sort of a lich queen sort of a thing. Like, but more than that, this elvish queen, hi, she a freak. So she was really like she was always very racist, very xenophobic, but also secretly really wanted to bang orcs. So the Elvish Queen banged an orc chieftain and had a baby, and that baby was her father, the orc OC's father. So now all of a sudden there's a story developing there. All of a sudden, things are starting to, connect. But then I'm like, okay, I need some more people. It's like, okay, there's gonna be a depressed elf, high-level assassin who basically the soothsayer said that his progeny was going to bring the end of the world, so they had him castrated. So he's constantly depressed. And that's how you make OCs. That's how you give them life. You start with a single thing and you start building, okay? That's the process. That is the whole process. You just build. You play around. You have fun. You you do what the D&D gamers have figured out a long time ago. You imagine. And then, of course, I stopped doing all of this because I realized I was dangerously getting close to the concept of me starting yet another fucking comic. But that's the thing. That's the beauty of creation. It pulls you in, it drags you, it grabs you, and it won't fucking let go. And then the voices start talking. They won't stop talking. Then you have to listen to progressively louder and louder music. So yeah, anyways. Okay, while I'm at it, I can hear the sounds of battle in the background, so that means there's enemies on my character in Destiny Rising. So I'm gonna do my fucking quick farm real quick. Now, get me those materials, haha. All right, back to drawing now. Yeah, you're welcome. But like I said, that's the process, right? And now it's easy for me to say like, oh, look how good it looks now because like I have 25 plus years of doing this, 8 hours a day. No, actually over 30. What am I saying? That's 25 is just the comics, but like I have over 30 years of drawing this 8 plus hours a day every day. Okay, so you know it's okay to suck. I sucked as well for fucking 15 plus years. But through it all, kept getting better. I wrote. Yes, this is a cover for Vampirella Witchblade crossover. Wait, no. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's like this. Yeah, listen. I always make it a point to tell people like if you have any questions ever here, don't hesitate to ask. Chances are I won't know the answer, but if I do, I'll do my best to explain the answer also. Because the stuff is one of those things where it's like if somebody asks you like on a tweet or something like that, like you don't have the span of words to properly explain it, and it's let's be real. You see a wall of text on the internet. What are you gonna do? Read that? Not in my, not, not in my life. The fuck is with this? I mean, it's one of those things like draw further and draw more is a correct answer. It always is. Like that's the whole shtick. There is no shortcuts through that one. But like you gotta understand one thing. Most artists never really um, like we don't really get too introspective about you know what made us good. From our standpoint, it's like, well, draw more, just keep drawing. But you kind of if you want to answer those questions, this is one of those reasons why an advice is a dangerous thing, right? Because a single bad advice is going to ruin somebody's motivation, or it's going to take somebody on a completely wrong path sometimes, because even if it's correct for you, like a lot of the advice tends to be kind of lacking context, lacking a more complete picture to it. So it's like when people say, draw more, yeah, that is correct. That is absolutely and objectively the right answer. But it's like a fraction of a picture. It's like an answer looked through a pinhole, but there's a bigger picture to it all. This is why I like streaming. It's like when people come to me with questions, I can actually, elaborate. I can explain what I mean by draw more and what kind of draw more will work, better versus worse. There's and I can also always qualify. Listen, these were my experiences. This is what worked for me. If it doesn't, look around. This is kind of one of those things where people ask me, it's like, oh, you draw by applying paint first. Like, how can I draw that? Well, you can do that. I don't recommend it necessarily. It's just something that works for me. The method of work, the workflow that I use is something that works for me because I've spent many years also sculpting. So I think through forms, through shapes, through value, through light. I don't necessarily think through lines, which is ironic with me being a comic creator. But end of the day, a lot of this stuff is really like best, you know, asked in a live stream environment, mostly because, that's when an artist can kind of get a little bit introspective and you can gain some insight into, okay, so it's not just this, but also with a caveat of this. So, you know, they don't mean anything bad when they tell you draw more. But it's also very understandable how draw more is not necessarily the answer you were looking for. It's like you're looking for just, hey, can you point me? I'm not looking for a street and a geographic location, but like give me a fucking compass direction. And yeah, I remember back in the day where like I did not jack shit. I was like, I was in Croatia where finding somebody to actually show you how to do things was not really an option. uh, Internet was something I didn't even own back then, so and even by the time when internet started and tutorials started, I was one of the people making them. Like this was like the early days, so it's like all of this shit was basically just me being self-taught and just figuring out my own methods. So they're not the best methods. It's just methods that work for me, and for people who found them useful also. Hey Henke, how's it going in slicing and dicing hell? Oh, what is it? No need for example of things. I know this is usual. Then, just curious about how you do it. How do I do what? Taking a small break. Slacker. Oh, hello, raiders. Thank you for the raid. Yeah, keep walking. Exactly that. I think she's. Yeah, okay. This is what I'm missing. How do I make my character look consistently like them? Do I make my character sheets with their proportions and stuff? um, I would usually make a joke where I just go like, well, I'm a comic artist. I make all of them look the same, so tada. And like, there is something to that. With comics, you tend to kind of settle on a very limited, amount of rehashed kind of features. But over time, I've gotten better at it. So how do I make a character consistently look like them? Honestly, it's just simple tricks of visual anchoring. Where it's like, okay, this is an important character. They're gonna have important features. It's like they're gonna have a different nose. They're gonna have, a certain type of accessory. They're gonna have perhaps a different shaped lips. They're gonna have, maybe like wider set ears. There's certain elements that you're gonna do on a character that are going to basically anchor them as them. My advice, look up a little bit about caricature. Caricature is actually an excellent way to study stylization and how to kind of summarize forms into something that is instantly recognizable. Because I'm going to be real with you, like, uh, the whole of humanity can be, kind of summarized to like 2 dozen kind of facial kind of archetypes where you're gonna see a person and you're gonna be like, well, this person looks familiar. I've seen them everywhere. It's kind of one of those things like this is why I look entirely unremarkable, because I am that guy who you're going to see in a heavy metal bar. You're gonna see him in a this bar, in that bar. I'm the guy you see in a lot of bars, which is ironic because I don't visit a lot of bars. But like I'm like this tall, burly, bearded looking guy, and it's just like you see me and it's like, yeah, it's a tall looking, burly looking guy. Yeah, yeah, okay, cool, yeah. It's one of those things where it's like you will realize that over time as an artist you will kind of summarize your own artistic language to some archetypes, and every now and then you're going to expand on that. You're going to be like, okay, this is boring. I can't have Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter in everything, so I'm going to have to swap around. I'm using their example because I used to make a joke that I'm like Tim Burton. I use Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter and everything. I had my comics where it's like, hey, here's this character. It's pretty much the same characters here and there. But in my defense, these days, again, I've started noticing that a lot of people very much look alike. So, but again, getting serious with it, it really is a matter of like the best advice I can give you is, well, first of all, definitely make yourself some character sheets because those are not just character sheets, those are your study moments where you're gonna basically, you know, chisel out that character. You're gonna figure him out. This is why I do a lot of 3D sculpting these days, where I can just kind of, mess around and do stuff and get really deep into the realism of proportions where I need to, until I understand it better, right? So, and mind you, I still fuck it up all the time. Okay, like an artist is human and by its very definition massively flawed. Even the best artists are gonna fall down to the same face syndrome, to the same this syndrome, to the same that syndrome. Some of the greatest comic artists alive basically draw the same five people all the time. There's nothing wrong with that inherently, but it is a bit complacent, and I'm the first one to admit it. Like a lot of my work were like Sunstone when I was starting on it. Like if I started it today, I'd take a much different approach in designing characters. But at the time, I was just kind of trying to shake off a burnout and kind of revert back to like a style that I had back in early college and just kind of shake off the influences that I've compiled over the years that just kind of led me down a dead end. So, you know, but even there, it's like when I was making them, I was effectively using the same techniques that your mangakas will use. It's like here's the character, okay? Here's a room full of same characters, okay? But this one has yellow hair with red streaks in it. Can you guess who the protagonist is? So not perhaps the best choice, but it is a choice that works. And at the end of the day, there is also something to be considered when you're making comics and when you're making animation. You're not making illustrations. You don't have the time to nail every subtle portrait characteristics because a human face is a mash of very subtle portrait characteristics. Very rarely does it become, your Team Fortress style, character face. It's like, no, most of the time it varies within these kind of very reasonable, very harmonious shapes that kind of flow from into each other. And like this is why you're gonna be able to see a bunch of people and realize that they look horribly alike. You're gonna be like, holy shit, I can't differentiate them. Well, that's the reason you haven't spent enough time studying the subtleties of their portrait characteristics to memorize them. So that's why in comics and animation we tend to go for like more extreme like changes if we want to make a portrait characteristic. This is why you have the broken noses. This is why you have the brows that can uh, break the front of a car. It's like it's one of those things. It's a fine art of exaggeration because at the end of the day, comics aren't illustrations. They're a fast-paced work that basically comes down to you making some very elaborate stick figures. It's like this is my symbol for a human. Okay, I'm gonna put this spiky hair on them and I'm gonna put this wild outfit on them. Now it's a character. Moving on. Yeah. Oh, I'm having a great day, Fina. Yes, this is a crossover that they just announced. So I'm doing my cover for it. Guys, give me a second. I gotta go and refill on my coffee. It's gonna be a long day of this cover, and I gotta fuel up. BRB. Caffeine obtained. Now, first, let me real quick gather the materials in Destiny Rising because multitasking is how I live my life. Bam, done. And now back to it. Okay, so I definitely want some backlight so that the wings are illuminated, but that's also gonna give Sarah's armor here a nice little. Exactly. Caffeine is a super important drawing material. It's acrylics, oil paints, pencils, crayons, caffeine. Sure thing, Fina. Ah, nice. Hey, Bonzer. Oh, thank you. Oh God, so good. Okay, this theme was depressing in game as well, so I'm just gonna skip. I can't even. That's going great. Working on some covers. Got a busy cover week ahead of me, and then I got a busy 3 weeks of comics. So all in all, can't complain. What? No, after I do the covers, I gotta do the actual pages of comics, like it's just not just the thumbnails, the whole thing. Got about 25, 30 pages to do this month. Mind you, that is a very self-imposed, very optimistic amount of pages. Generally, I do about 20. But sometimes when I have the time, I crank it up. What are the comics? What are the Nazi horror comics that I'm working on other than Sunstone? Fine Print is mature themed, and Crimson After Hours is very mature themed. And then Death Vigil is normal for everybody. Normal. I mean, yeah, all effectively ages. Uh, whoever can stand watching monsters being monsters. Uh, Achilles Shield Maidens is gonna be uh, just general all ages safe for work. Same as with the Queen and the Woodborn, and same as for the DC comic that I'm currently working on. Do I ever make 3D models of certain locations in my stories if I know they're going to be recurring locations? If I had the patience to do that, I so would. But since I have no patience and I have the money, I'm gonna make Henke do that for me. Because Achilles Shield Maidens has those locations, because it's a whole lot of, like, I'm gonna make a block out of the spaceship and send him a block out and send him all of the like design elements that I want, and then he's gonna fill that in. Then I'm gonna make the block out and like the general designs for the hangar for the mechs, and then I'm gonna send it to him, and he's gonna make it for me. Yes, of course I'm continuing the Queen and Woodburn. Like it's a shorter story in general. That one's gonna be like 3 books, roughly. So but it's one of those things that's being done slowly on the side. Oh, nice, Reds. Glad you like it. The actual fucking book is gonna be so good. Can't fucking wait. It's gonna have a box. No idea how big of a nerd I am for like hardcover books with boxes. Like it's been a long time dream of mine. Quick material farm. Doink. Yoink. And a yoink. Yeah, that thing is Crimson should be shipping like really soon, honestly. We're literally just waiting for the copies to arrive from the printer. Everything else has been done. It's not really like it's just it's just been pricier. That's about it. Like it's still reliably getting there. Just slightly more annoying. PC. But first, just gotta check something here. Email. Okay, now where's the Discord? Okay. Let's see the pictures. God damn it, Henke, stop sending me hard surface geometry porn. Whenever I see geometry subdividing this cleanly, just it's the good stuff. It's tasty. Kudos, man. Kudos. Oh, I've not worked in Lenovo ThinkPad for over almost 2 decades now. These days I work for my desktop. I've been actually using a gamer laptop for my uh, mobile purposes, and then I just bring a tablet with me. Because at some point Lenovo got, it just got worse. Because like the problem with Lenovo is they make great laptops, but they also kind of tend to get overly experimental with them to the point where it's like they stop being useful, which is just annoying. So yeah, I kind of stopped buying them. I've been actually using Asus laptops for a while now. Like they're Lenovo has been so obsessed with reinventing the wheel that they forgot how to make it actually spin. For a while there, I don't know what the situation is now. I haven't gotten back at their products. Like I wanted to try the new Yoga, but honestly, just whenever I see all this AI shit advertised on these things, I just immediately go like, yeah, no, what else is on? If I'm gonna have my computer use its processor power, it's gonna be on something that I actually want. Thank you. Oh, yo, those booleans are working. Where can you find my hard surface guy? Right on the Twitch chat currently. But Henke here, he can do everything. Like he's very, very fucking good. Yeah, Asus has been super reliable for me. Like I've had mine for like so many years now. Still works perfectly. It's just, it is a bit like one of those things where it's like if I want to use my ZBrush, like I need to upgrade, and I'm gonna be upgrading to another Asus. Because so far they haven't been cramming their computers with useless nonsense, but made it actually functional hardware. So kudos. I the one thing I would love from Clip Studio is if I flip the thing, have an option to just flip the actual wait, fit to navigator? Oh, never mind. To have an option for the navigator itself to get flipped as well. Just please. This is just tedious. I don't want to do Final Fantasy XIV raid mechanics in my while I'm drawing. So, okay, so this is how it is, but actually, oh, you need to think in reverse, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. I'm guessing. I guess. Yeah, he's an incredibly professional guy, but my God, his self-promotion skills are just worse than mine, which is saying something. Yeah, that's actually valid. And then you got some hits by, dropping in on this stream and kept telling me, hey, if you want to 3D print the thing, you should probably do it like this. I'm like, huh, this guy seems to know something about 3D printing. That's nice. I wish I had somebody who knew something about 3D printing. Brain just never made the connection between those two thoughts for a long time. Until at some point I spoke the words, man, I wish I could have somebody who could slice and 3D print this for me. And Henke was like, dude! I'm like, what? It's like, it's me! I'm the guy! And I'm like, we need to talk. Yeah, I was hit with the world's greatest bra. Yeah. Warhammer Marines be like, we're gonna need a bigger bolter. Wait, did you take a picture of him next to Buffett or was it next to Lisa and Ali? I forgot. Because if it's next to Buffett, like that's actually kind of lore accurate. Because she's a desire goddess, so works. Ah, perfect. Oh God, recently I saw some cartoons on YouTube called The Space Emperor. I was dying. is a Warhammer 40k parody. It's just the most fucked up, hilarious shit ever. It's so funny. I've never played Warhammer, and yet Warhammer was literally my first professional work. Space King, yeah. I don't know. Like I never was, but ironically, my first professional work was doing a whole bunch of Warhammer trading cards. They're like, "Can you do this?" I'm like, "It's dudes and armors and demons. Yeah, I'm all right with that." Yeah, this cover is gonna be very fun. I'm gonna have this done today. Then tomorrow I got the big dog ink cover, and then I gotta do the what's it called? I gotta do the 3DC covers, and then I'm covered out, I think. Unless there's something from Dynamite that I'm forgetting. Could be. That's fine. I have enough time to squeeze in if anything was needed. And then comics. Oh my god. See, I know exactly what you're talking about. That episode, man. Oh god. Yeah, gotta farm my materials. Hold on, material break. Hit plants with grenade launchers. Optimal. What? Officer, no, this isn't a weapon. This is my farming tool. What a coincidence. Everything Vamp is also a sucker, too. Hey, I'm funny. Oh, man. Thank you so much, OBS. I love it when you delete all of the chats if I'm not looking at you all the time. It's beautiful. Just the best, you know. Just love it. Yeah, on Twitch you'd probably get banned. Well, you'd get banned if you're sculpting the specific parts. The rest you're fine. So, you know, some things you could also always sculpt off stream. Quick material form. Alright, I think I'm gonna take a break now. I've done a bunch of work. Still got a few hours left on this, but it's gonna be done today. And so, on that note, thank you all for being